All right, about to get started. All right. See if I can turn this over a little bit. All right, Shalom Israel, with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, starting at the 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohana. We're not affiliated with any other Israelite group nor any other Christian organization. All right, so I want to make sure everybody can see the board pretty straight. All right, that's pretty good. That's good. All right. So tonight's class is the Lashawan Qadash class. Now, let's take into consideration learning the language, man. Learning the Lashawan Qadash is very, very important. You don't want to take it lightly. All right, you don't want to take learning the Lashawan Qadash lightly as well. Don't want to take it lightly. We're going to get into some things. Let me see real quick. Get into some things. 1 second. Give me one. Get this going for y'all. Alright, have that up. Okay, go back to the class. Okay, we back. All right. So you don't want to take learning the Lashawan Qadash very lightly, man. Learning our language, like the Lashawan Qadash is the Hebrew language. And it's very, very important for us to learn it and understand it. Like if you are so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American, it is very important for us to come back to our culture, to come back to our heritage, and come back to the traditions that the Most High passed down to us. Now, if anyone did not know, the language that we speak, which is the Lashawan Qadash, the Hebrew language, is one of the traditions that the Most High passed down to us. Like the Lord allowed us to keep our language. While He separated all the languages on the earth, He allowed our people, our forefathers, to keep the language, to keep the Lashawan Qadash, and to keep the Hebrew language. It was a very, very important thing throughout Israelite culture to know how to speak the language of your forefathers. Like I'm gonna get a scripture out in Nehemiah, and I'm gonna show you, not just in the Hebrew, but as well in the English, what Nehemiah did, the prophet Nehemiah did, which he was a priest, that Nehemiah did to one of the Israelites, to one of the Jews that did not know how to speak the language of our forefathers. Like I'm gonna go ahead and bring that out. I might do it in the end of class too as well, if I get down to it, but I really want to show you guys exactly how important it is to speak the Lashawan Qadash. Like this is a part of establishing the kingdom of heaven. Like this is a part of establishing the nation of Israel. Like this is something that separates us from other nations of people. The language that we speak, the language that you speak, separates you or separates us from these other nations of people. Like for an example, there are certain characteristics that you have. There are certain characteristics that people have that you would be able to tell what nation they come from and where they live and their background based off of the characteristics that they have. Now, one of those characteristics is how they dress. One of the characteristics is how they talk, if they have an accent or not. One of the other characteristics is how they look. One of the other characteristics is what they speak, the language that they speak. Now, specifically, Right now, to give you an example, to give our people an example, if you have someone that's speaking Mandarin, 9 times out of 10, he may come from a upper Asia country, like somewhere in China and in that area. He might come from somewhere in Beijing or whatever the case may be, whatever those countries are and cities within that country, right, of China. He or she may come over there based off of the fact that they're speaking Mandarin. Like, there are certain things, right, that will pinpoint on a person, right, who they are based off of the language that they speak. Based off of the language you speak, you're going to be considered that person. If I start speaking Chinese, I'm going to be Chinese to some people, especially if I look like them. If I start speaking Japanese and I look Japanese, I'm Japanese. Like, it is very, very important to learn the language of your forefathers. It's very important to learn the language of your culture. It's very, very important to learn the language of your people. In some countries, if you do not know the language of your people, you're not considered to be of those people. Like, that's how serious it is to learn the Hebrew language. You understand? Like, we want to be set apart. We want to make sure when the Most High returns and Christ returns, He knows that, okay, these are my people. They're not speaking English. They're not speaking Spanish. They're speaking that Hebrew that we spoke thousands of years ago. Like, that's something that we need. So now I'm going to go ahead and get to it. So, Lucky. If you got, don't forget also, make sure you put your name, city, and state. Don't forget to sign in and check in. Make sure you put your name, city, and state. Don't forget to put your name, city, and state. You don't want to forget that. All right. It's very important to attend these classes. Very, very important to attend these classes. So tonight we're going to be going over pronouns and object pronouns. All right. So tonight's class is going to be about possessive pronouns and object pronouns. Now, these pronouns are very widely used to structure sentences. All right. You're going to need to know how to use subject pronoun. Yes, you're going to be you would have to know how to use subject pronouns, but we're not going to focus on that today. All right, but you're going to have to know how to use possessive pronouns and object pronouns. These are very key parts of structuring basic sentences. Like, we need to understand the premise of an object pronoun and a possessive pronoun. Now, specifically, does anybody know what a possessive pronoun is? Does anybody know what a possessive pronoun is? We're going to start off with possessive pronouns. All right? We're going to start off with possessive pronouns. Does anybody know what a possessive pronoun is? Now, a possessive pronoun is a usually, okay, right, correct, that's very like his or hers. Like, a possessive pronoun is used to show ownership of something. Like, for instance, like, to show ownership of that car, I would say either that's my car, or that's your car, or that's his car, or that's her car, or that's our car, or that's their car. Like, if I want to show ownership of a house, I would say that's my house, your house, his house, all right, her house, even though her man runs the house, her house, our house, even though the brother's in charge, You know what I'm saying? Their house. Like these are examples, right, of possessive pronouns being used. Like this is something very important to understand. Like this is how you slowly get into building up sentence structure. So now we're going to get some. I'm going to get some examples, or I'm going to write on the board what possessive pronouns look like and what they are and how they're used. All right, and then, all right, now this is more so like almost like a recap too, but I'm still going to go into detail as well. All right, because this is something that we need to know in order to slowly get into structuring basic sentences in Hebrew. Like right now, the more like here's a good tip. Here's a good tip and some good advice when it comes to studying the Hebrew. Learn as much verbs as you can and nouns. You want to learn as many verbs and nouns as you can and commit them to memory. As many nouns, as many verbs as you can, commit them to memory. If you don't have the 100 most common verb list, put your email in the chat and I'll send you that information. But now what you really want to is learn as many verbs and nouns as possible. The more verbs you know, the better. The more nouns you know, the better. Because this is what's going to help you eventually structure sentences. And you want to commit them to memory as well. Like you want to commit them to memory. Like you want to be like really good. Like even to this day, I'm still trying to commit verbs and nouns to memory. You know what I'm saying? So I can become fluent within the Lashawan Qadash. You understand? You know what I'm saying? And to memorize a word a day, you have 100. There's more than 360 days in a year, and you have the 100 common verb list. Try to memorize a verb a day. Say that verb constantly throughout the day, and say that noun throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? And commit it to memory. Just commit it to memory, and it'll help. I promise you, it'll help. It will Izar, right? Izar meaning to help. It will Izar. I promise you. It will Izar. All right, so we got the first four on the board. So we got the first four on the board. And then I'm going to use the left. So, all right, I see that there's a glare in the board. So I want to see if I can fix that real quick. Because I want to use the left side of the board without that glare affecting nothing. I believe I know what the glare is. Alright, let me see. I should still have enough lighting on the board. So that glare is still in the far left. Alright, let me see. Okay, but you got, okay. Alright, that glare. Okay, so we got the first four on the board, and I'm going to break it down. So we got the first four on the board. So now this is the first possessive pronoun. Alright. So you got, this is your first possessive pronoun right here, which is your ya. Alright, so your ya is the first possessive pronoun that we got on the board. Now your ya, right, now this is your ya in the Assyrian. So we're going to work a little bit on the Assyrian because the scriptures is mostly written in the Assyrian because of our captivity. Now, I want us to get used to the Assyrian because we're going to be reading the Assyrian a lot, honestly. Like we're really going to be reading the Assyrian a lot. So we want to make sure, we want to make sure, you know what I'm saying, we're efficient with it. So now you got the ya, right? You got the ya right here, right? You got the ya, all right, in the Assyrian. So your ya is your my. So your ya is your my. So your ya is a possessive pronoun, my, all right? So if you wanted to say this is my house. Now if you wanted to say this is my house, right? This is my house. If you wanted to say this is my house, right? So first we would have to know the noun for house. All right, we need to know the noun for house because I'm going to get examples on the board. All right, to the left of this. So we have some good examples. So first things first, if you want to say this is my house, we know the possessive pronoun my is ya. But next we need to know the noun because pronouns go hand in hand with nouns. We want to keep that in consideration. Pronouns go hand in hand with nouns. Alright? Remember, possessive pronouns go hand in hand with nouns. So possessive pronouns go hand in hand with nouns. So now on the board, we're going to get house. So now, Baryat is how you would say house. Right? Baryat is how you would say house. Now the way you would write Baryat in the Hebrew is Ba, and you got your Ra, and you got your Salaki. Let me go ahead and write that a little lower because that Ya, I hate when my Ya touches. So you got your Ba, you got your Ra, you got your Ya, right? And you got your Tha. All right? So now you got Baryat on the board in the Assyrian. So now Baryat is how you would say house. Baryat is how you would say house. All right? So Baryat is how you would say house. This is your Ba, your Ra, your Ya, and your Tha. Right? So this is your Ba, your Ra, your Ya, and your Tha, which is Baryat. All right? Baryat. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and get it. I'm going to write that. Your Ba, your Ra, your Ya, and your Tha. Now you guys can see that. Let me see. So So now, what we got on board, right, this is your bar yaf, which is your house. You have your bar right here, your ra right here, your ya and your tha right here. That's your bar yaf. Alright, so that's your bar yaf. Your bar yaf is house. Now, if you wanted to say my house, right, you would add the ya to bar yaf. So you would add the ya to bar yaf. So you would say bar yaf ya. So you would say bar yaf ya. Now you would say bar yaf ya, right? Which would equal, what this would literally translate to is my house. So that would literally translate to my house. Alright, so literally, bar yaf is house, right? So bar yaf is house. This is your bar yaf in the Syrian, right? So this is your bar yaf in the Syrian. To make this, if you want to add a possessive pronoun to it, you would say bar yaf ya, which would mean my house. That's why you have this right here, your bar yaf ya, bar yaf ya, bar yaf ya, which would literally mean my house. This would literally mean my house. Now I'm going to write it underneath in the Lashawan Qadash as well. Alright? I'm going to go ahead and get that as well, alright? So then, got your ba. It's a little lower. Got your ba. Got your ra. Your ya. Alright. Your tha. Your ya. So now, what we got on the board is bar yaf ya. Right? Bar yaf ya. This is how you would literally say my house. Bar yaf ya. Bar yaf ya. So bar yaf is house. Bar yaf ya is my house. Alright? This is how you would use possessive pronouns. These are examples of how you would use possessive pronouns. So now, like, remember, this is like a recap because these are also on the channel, things like that. Because remember, I always say in every class, there's never going to be a time that we never go over something. We're always going to briefly go over it or always recap it. Like the Lord says in the Bible, rehearse the righteous acts. Like we have to constantly go over and over and over this in order to learn this. Like we're not going to be able to learn this no other way. We have to get down to the nitty gritty, right? And practice this and rehearse it and go over it over and over and over again until we get it right. Until we get it straight. Until we zakar, meaning to remember. Until we zakar, meaning remember. Until we can do that, we're always going to go over something. Right? Like we want to get to the point where we can start teaching these classes in the Hebrew. You get my point? We have so many Hebrew scholars in the school, and I look up to these brothers. I'm like, man, you guys are amazing. I just wish I was like y'all. It's crazy. And I'm just like, we have so much Hebrew scholars that I can guarantee you, I say give it about maybe 10-something years, right? Unless Christ returns, we're going to be able to teach these classes in Hebrew, Akim, and we're going to be able to teach these classes in Hebrew, Akim. I promise you that. We may even, one day we may even have a class specifically on a day of the week that is only in Hebrew. We may even establish that, like Commanding General Yohana is doing so much work, y'all, to build this nation up. Do not be surprised. You understand? We're going to completely take over. You understand? And we will fix the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community. What the Lord is doing. The Most High is using Commander General Yohana and the Isupk to fix learning this language. So we definitely don't want to, take it for granted. All right, we don't want to take it for granted. So now let's get to it. So now this is how you would say Baryatia. All right, Baryatia. Now, if you guys have any questions, just put it into the live chat and just let me know. All right, Baryatia. Baryatia is how you would say my house. So if I want to say this is my house, I would say Zabayatia. Like Zabayatia is saying that's my house. All right, I'll go up to be like, hey, yeah, Zabayatia. Like, now Za meaning this. All right, so Salaki, if I'm confusing anybody. So I'll be like, hey, yo, Zabayatia. Salaki, Zabayatia. Then you would be like, oh, snap. He's saying this is my house. Right? Zabayatia. And you'd be like, hey, Shalom Anawan, Zabayatia. Salaki, Ba'akam, Bubu Kasha. You know what I'm saying? Right? Everybody understand that? Yeah. That's all. Like it'll get real easy it'll get real easy more and more over time the more we practice this. Zabar Yahdia is a basic sentence in the Lashawan Qadash. That's a basic sentence. You just created a sentence in Hebrew and you didn't even know it. Not at all. You probably thought, oh snap, this is hard. Nah. Knowing possessive pronouns, you can make basic sentences all day. Learn as many verbs as you can and learn as many nouns as you can. Now, specifically, the reason why we want to learn these nouns is so we can do these possessive pronouns. Like, that's the reason why we want to learn these nouns, so we can use these possessive pronouns and get it together. You understand? So now the next one we got is your ka, right? Now this is your ka. Now if I didn't state, possessive pronouns always goes at the end of the verb. It's like at the end of the noun. So possessive pronouns will always be at the end of the noun. Like specifically, as an example, right here, this right here is your possessive pronoun. This right here that's at the end of the word. That's at the end of the noun. So remember, possessive pronouns always go at the end of the noun, to the noun. Like in English, it's separated from the noun. Right? And it's in front of it. Like in English, the possessive pronoun is in front of the noun and is not connected to the noun. But in Hebrew, it's the complete opposite. The noun comes first and the ya is connected at the end. It's connected to the word itself and it's at the end. And the noun is in the front. So now you got your ka. Now, to focus on what I got right here. You see that right there? That's what your ka looks like in the Assyrian. Alright? When it's at the end of something. So this is the ka that you use when it's at the end of a word. So this is the ka that you would use when it's at the end of a word. Not when it's in the front, not when it's in the middle, but when it's at the end of a word, regardless if it's a verb or a noun, your ka would look like this as long as it's at the end. Alright, that is specific to the Assyrian script. That's why I want us to get used to the Assyrian script, because this is what it's going to look like, and this is what you're going to see, and this is what you're going to read. So now, you have your, right? This is your ka in Assyrian, this is your ka, which means your. So the possessive pronoun for your is ka. So the possessive pronoun your is ka in the Hebrew. So your possessive pronoun for your is ka in the Hebrew. So now, let's say I wanted to say this is your car. Right? Let's say this is your car. Alright? This is your car. Or your vehicle. So a vehicle or a car in the Hebrew would translate to chariot. Because back in the day, way back when, of course there wasn't no, we weren't driving cars and, we weren't really, driving whips and nothing like that, of course. We were riding, horses, and we had something called a chariot, which was something with wheels on it that would move forward. So chariot in the Hebrew is what you would use for like vehicle or car. All right. So chariot would be the word, all right, that you would use for either a vehicle or car. Now, specifically, all right, this is how it's broken down. So you would ride a chariot, right? Now you would ride a chariot, right? You would ride it. You ride chariots just like you would ride horses. Now there's a Hebrew word for ride. Even though that's a verb, there's a word for ride which is rakav. All right? So now there's a verb or there's a word in the Hebrew to ride something which is rakav, right? Which is rakav. But if you wanted to say what you are riding, like either a chariot, right? It would be ma rakav. That ma is letting you know that it stems from the word rakav. That ma is letting you know that it's from rakav. This word is from rakav. So that ma in front of the word is letting you know that it's from rakav. It's from the word rakav because rakav means to ride. But ma rakav is a car that you ride or a chariot that you ride. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. You have rakav meaning ride, but the ma in front of rakav means it's from the verb. It's from the word ride. So rakav means to ride. Ma rakav means car or chariot, something that you ride. That's the reason why the word is called ma rakav. Now I have a list of these words, all right, that are ISUBK approved, but ma rakav. I'm breaking that down for you. Ma rakav, right? Ma rakav is because the rakav means to ride, and the ma meaning it's from the word ride. Ma rakav, from ride, which is car because it's something that you ride. Right? Like it's something that you ride, it's something that you drive. So ma rakav. This in the Hebrew. Let's get it. So now this is what it will look like in the Hebrew. Ma, your ra, your ka, and your ba. Alright? So that's what it will look like. So marakah, all right. So marakah. This is what it would look like in the Hebrew. This is your ma. This is your ra. This is your ka. This is your ba. All right, in the Syrian, which is marakab, meaning car, which is something that you ride. Right, marakab, marakab. Now, if I wanted to say this is your car, right? Right? If I want to say this is your car, right? I would add a ka to the end of that. So it would look more so like this. Got your ma, your ra, your ka, your ba, and then your ka. So right here, you have marakab, marakabka, marakabka, marakabka. So you have marakabka. All right, you have marakabka, which literally means, right, which would equal to your car. It would literally translate to your car. It would be your car. And let me see if I can get that a little, even though it's kind of small. Your car. It would literally translate to your car. Am I missing something? You car. Like it. So your car. It would translate to your car. So marakabka is your car. So if you want to say this is your car, you would say za marakabka. Za marakabka. You know what I'm saying? This is your car. Alright? Za marakabka would literally mean this is your car. So za meaning this. Marakabka meaning car, your car. So za marakabka meaning your car. Zamarakabka. This is your car. Right? And this is what it would look like. Alright? In the Hebrew, this is your ma. This is your ra. This is your ka. Alright? This is your ka. This is your ba. This is your ba. So now marakabka, that's what it will look like. All right, in the Syrian, marakabka, marakabka meaning your ride. I mean, your car, your ride. So now, here we go. So marakabka. Marakab. Marakab is car. Marakabka is saying your car. Right? That's an example of how you would use, all right, your as a possessive pronoun. So next what we have on the board is your Y. This is what your Y looks like in the Syrian. This is your Y, meaning his. So Y is the possessive pronoun for his. Right? Alright? So Y is a possessive pronoun for his. So if you wanted to say, for an example, this is his cup. right? This is his cup. To say cup in Hebrew, right? Here's just examples, right? Is kawas. So to say cup is kawas. So kawas. So kawas in the Hebrew is how you would say cup. This is your ka right here. This is your wa right here. This is your sa right here. So this is how you would say cup in Hebrew, kawas. Kawas is how you would say cup in Hebrew. So now if you wanted to say this is his cup, if you want to say this was his cup, you would have to say kawaswa, 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 right? Kawaswa, right? Kawaswa. So let's get it on the board. You got your ka, you got your wa, you got your sa, right? And you got your wa, which would equal his ka. And you got your ka, your wa, your sa, right? And you got your wa, right? Ka, got your ka, your wa, your sa, and your wa. So now you would say kawaswa. So kawaswa is how you would say his cup, right? You would say his cup. So in order for you to say his cup, remember, wa is his. Wa is his. You have your kawas, right? Kawas is cup. This is how kawas would look like in Assyrian. Kawas meaning cup. So kawaswa is his cup. So if you want to say this is his cup, you would literally say zakawaswa. Zakawaswa, meaning this is his cup. Zakawaswa. Za meaning this. Zakawaswa. Zakawaswa. This is his cup. Possessive pronouns help us build sentences. Right? Possessive pronouns, right? Possessive pronouns help us build basic sentences in Hebrew. You want to learn as many nouns as you can. You want to learn as many nouns as you can so you can just randomly think in your head, this is how you would say it. Like kawas is cup. You know what I'm saying? Kawas is cup. Marakav is car. Right? Things like that. Alright? Kawas. Kawas was how you would say his cup. So now, let's get the next one on the board. Let's get the next example. All right. So now, let's get an example for her. I don't like using that no more. It's blocky. Use too much. Whatever. Whatever it is. It's in the race valve. So now, here we go. Now you have is your her. Right? This is your her. Right? This is what your ha looks like. This is what your ha looks like in the Syrian. Alright? Your ha is her, alright, as a possessive pronoun. So your ha is a possessive pronoun for her in the Hebrew. Alright, so ha is a possessive pronoun. So as an example, let's say this is her store. So let's get store in the Hebrew, which is ma'ara. You got your ma, right? You got your I, all right? So you got your ma, got your I, got your ra, and you got your, which equals market. So my rob is market. Now we know a market is a store, right? It's where you market at. A market is where you go to buy things at. So my rob is market, right? Let's get that in Hebrew. You got your ma. Right? Got your ma. And you got your I. Alright? Got your I. You got your ra. You got your ba. I just don't like how it looks. This is your ma. This is your I. This is your ra. And this is your ba. So you have my rob, which is market, which is just a store. So my rob. Yeah, ma. So I rob. I rob is a word or a verb that means to buy or to sell or to market. Like that's what I rob means. If you look at the word I rob, that's what it means. But my rob, when you look in the Hebrew, my rob will let you know that it means market. Meaning to market something as a noun. That you go to, you're going to like the market to buy something or to sell something, it means to market. So my rob meaning like to store, like a store or a market. All right, my rob. All right, my rob is how you would say market or store. So now if you want to say this is her store, right? This is her store. You would say my rabba, my rabha. My Ra-ha. Ma I Rob Rob Ha, which would equal her market. Her market. Ma I Rob Ha. Ma I Ra Ba Yaha. So ma I Rob Ha is how you would say her store. So ma irabha. Ma irabha. Ma irabha. Your eye. Ma irab. Ma irabha. So ma irab meaning market. So ma irab is meaning market. Ma irabha is her market. So if you want to say this is her market, you would say za ma irabha. Alright, I kind of said it kind of fast. Ma irabha. Ma irabha. Za ma irabha. This is her market. This is her store. Za ma irabha. Za ma irabha. This is her store. Za ma irabha. You guys kind of hear that? Za ma irabha. 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 Meaning this is her store. Za ma irabha. Mara. It's like a ma irabha. Ma irabha. This is her store. Za ma irabha. Alright. Now here we go. So before we get the next ones, alright, let's get something on the screen. So we're gonna get something on the screen first. So I want y'all to look at something. Now, if you guys have any questions too as well, make sure you guys ask your questions in the live chat. All right, so let's get it. So let's get All right, so let's get it. I want y'all to look carefully at the screen. So now we're at Genesis chapter 20, verse 5. So I want to get some examples. So let's get Genesis. Let's get Genesis. Let's get Genesis chapter 20. All right, verse 5 also in the Hebrew over here. So now, Genesis chapter 20, verse 5. Now I want y'all to notice something right here. So remember in the previous week's class, right? Previous week's class. You see these right here? This is how the Hebrew would look. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger for y'all. So I'm bring this over some. So let me know if you guys can see this. I'm going to check it out myself as well. Alright. That's too wild. So now, if you guys look closely on the board, now this is what the Hebrew would look like if you're reading it in a, right, so this is what the Hebrew would look like when you're reading it in the Assyrian. Alright, like right here, right, this is what it would look like. Besides the vowels, right, not the vowels, but you see those dots, they're called the nakud. Alright, that's something that our oppressor made up to make a vowel system. Alright, to create a vowel system. Some say that's not true, but it's very well true. Now you have your warrior side. So you have your warrior side, all right, your Masham, Abraham, Arataza, right? Then you have your Hanagab. It's like your Hanagab, warrior Shab, Bayan Qadash, wa Bayan Shawar, warrior Gar, Bagarar. So this is just the first, right? So now literally what it's saying is it translates to, and Abraham traveled from there to the land of the south, and he dwelt between Qadash and between Shur, and he sojourned in Gerar. Alright, so that's literally what it said. It said Wayashai, Wayasai. It's like a Wayasai, Masham, Abraham, Aratazah, Hagarab. Hagarab wa Yashab, Bayan Qadash wa Bayan Shawar, wa Yagar Bagarar. It's like it, Bagarar. Alright? So now we're going to break it down, but I want y'all to pay very close attention to as well. And the reason why I want y'all to pay very close attention, you see this right here? Maybe I can highlight it. It might not let me highlight it. So you see that right there? That letter right there, that's an A. This is an A, this is a Ba, this is a Ga, and this is what a Da looks like in the Assyrian. Now I want you guys to pay very close attention to this. Alright, because we just went over the numbers last week. Remember, this is what you're going to see to let you know what verse you're on. Alright, so this is what you're going to see to let you know what verse you are on. So you have your A and then your Ba. This is letting you know that's the number 1. This is letting you know that's the number 2. This is letting you know that this is verse 3. This is verse 4. So this would be verse Akkad or Parak Akkad. This would be Parak Shanya. It's like a not Parak Shanya. Just verse Akkad. Verse Sanya. Verse Ga. Verse Da. Right? verse ha, verse wa. Like this is letting you know that this is what it is. But this is akad, shanya, shalash, all right, arabai, chamash, all right, shasha, shabai, all right, shamawanah, tashai. Then you have, you see that yeah right there? This is your Ishara. All right, that's your Ishara. So that's what the numbers would look like in the Hebrew when you're reading it. So now let's go to 25. We're going to go to chapter 1, Genesis chapter 20. And let's go to verse 5. So which one would be verse 5? Well, Yahah, which is your Kamash. So verse Kamash, that's your verse 5. So now Genesis chapter 20 verse 5 said, did he not say to me, she is my sister? And she even said, he is my brother. With the innocence of my heart and with the purity of my hands have I done this. So now the reason why I wanted to go over this, and I'm also going to get it right here. All right, let's click on this. Genesis chapter 20 verse 5. Let me see if I can get the interlinear for y'all. So let's get the interlinear. All right, so this is what it's going to look like right here. The same thing here, I'm going to read over here, but I'm going to click on each word on this side. So now you have, in verse 5, we're going to go over, you have hala'ah, all right, hala'ah, all right, hala'ah. Let's see. So now you have, so this right here is hala'ah. So let's go over to hala'ah, right, same here, hala'ah. Let's see what that is. So this is usually going to mean not. All right. All right. So la'a meaning no or not. Now you have hala hawa'a. Hala hawa'a. So that ha in front. Let me see that ha in front. If I can just get it right here. You see that ha? Okay, well maybe, let me see. Right here. See that ha right there? Now ha is just a particle, alright, letting you know that it's just either ha in front of a word usually means the. Alright, usually means the. In this case, alright, in this case, it's taking place of did. Right? It's taking in place of did he not say to me. So it's saying hala'a hawa'a amor la'a. So hala'a hawa'a amor laya. Amor laya. So hala'a hawa'a amor laya. So amar meaning to say. So if I go over here and I click on amar, right? Amar meaning to say. Alright, let's wait till it loads up. Amar meaning to say. Amar. Now the reason why I brought up this because it shows you possessive pronouns. In this sentence, in this verse, it shows you possessive pronouns being used in the Bible, proving to you and letting you know that we're not making things up that we say. So this is amar, meaning said or to say. It's a verb. So when we go back, we have hala'a hawa'a. Alright, hawa'a meaning him or he. So let's go to he so you guys can see it. So this is he. Alright, you see hawa'a meaning he. Hawa'a is a subject pronoun. Hawa'a is a subject pronoun. So you have hala'a hawa'a amor laya. Alright. Laya meaning to me. They might give it to us. I'm not sure here. Alright. So that la means to. Alright. That la means two, right? That ya means me. So that la means two and that ya means me. They didn't really give it here, but I'm letting you guys know. Alright, so that la and that ya, that la mean two, that ya meaning me. So hala'a hawa'a amor laya. Alright, so hala'a hawa'a amor laya. Hala'a hawa'a amor laya. Then you have a kaf. Alright, a kaf. Alright, this is a kaf. It comes from the word akwaf. Right, akwaf is a verb meaning sister. So you see that ya, right? That ya is a suffix. Right, that ya is a suffix. A suffix is something that comes at the end of a word. So a suffix is something that comes at the end of a word. So you have akathia, which is it means akwaf, meaning sister than ya. This is an example of how a possessive pronoun is used. Ya is at the end of the verb, slaki at the end of the word. Akath meaning akwaf, it's akathia. That y gets dropped. Akathia, right? Akathia, akathia, akathia. Hawa'a. So you have hala'a, hawa'a, amor laya, akathia, hawa'a. Like you see how it kind of goes. Hala'a, hawa'a, amor, right? Hala'a hawa'a amor laya akafya hawa'a. Then you have, right, here you go. Now you have wahaya'a. Now haya'a is a subject pronoun which means she. Right? Does anybody know what that wa is? You see that wa? That wa in front of a word. That wa in front of a word means and. Right? Like and she. Even she said. So now we're at the and she. Right? We're at the she is my sister and she. Like this is where we're at. So now you have, alright, a kafya. Right? A kafya. Hawa'a. Wahaya'a, right? Gam. Anybody know what gam means? Gam means two. Alright. Gam meaning even or two. So let's click on that real quick. So gam is a adverb meaning also, even, in. When I said to, I'm referring to as in T-O-O, which is the same as also. Right? The T-O-O to is the same as also. Alright? So now if we go back, you got hala, hawa. So you have hala'a, hawa'a, amor, laya, akafya, hawa'a, wahaya'a, gam, hawa'a, amorha. So hawa'a meaning he. Then you have amorha. There was another one. Amorha. That ha at the end. Right? You see how amor, alright, amor, right here. Hawa'a. So now when it says, so then it says Slakia. So you have Amara. It's like not Amorha. You have Amara. You have your your ma, and then your ra, then your ha, which is Amara. Amara, that ha at the end makes it feminine now. It makes it completely feminine now, letting you know that this is something that a woman has said. This is how you know a woman said this. So you have hawa'a, right? You have hawa'a, wahaya'a, and she also, right? Also said, right? He amara akya. So when we go back over here, it's literally saying, and she, even she said, right? So it says, and she, right? So, and she. That's your wahaya, and she. Even, right? Even, right? Even she said, right? Hawa'a amara akya, right? This is letting you know that she said it, right? Letting you know that she said it. Hawa'a, even though it means he, is still letting you know that she said this. That's why that amara is there, right? So you see that hawa'a can also mean, right? So you have, all right, in this case, the hawa'a is being used as herself. All right. Everybody understands that? Hawa'a, depending on the context. So hawa'a, amara, akya, meaning what? My brother. Akya literally means my brother. Ak meaning brother. That ya at the end of the ak is signifying my. Alright, which is akya. Alright, akya. So you have hala'a, hawa'a, you have hala'a, hawa'a, amualaya, akafya, hawa'a, wahaya'a, gam, hawa'a, amara, akya, hawa'a. Then you have your ba, then your thumb. Right? Then you have your thumb. Alright. So the root word for thumb is thamam. Right? Thamam. Right? Thamam. Meaning integrity, completeness, fullness, innocence, simplicity, integrity. Right? Completeness. Alright, the mom. Alright, so like it. But they shortened it. Alright. Now this is how you would, okay. I think I will explain this one class. But you see this right here. You see how it's not thamam, but it's thumb. In the Hebrew, there's a way to do slang in the Hebrew. Or shorthand writing. Alright, shorthand writing. Alright, in the Hebrew. And the way you do it, alright, the way you do it is it's like you put thumb, your thumb, your ma, your thumb. Instead of putting thamam, you cut off the ma and just put thumb. To make the word shorter, like contraction wise, alright, which is thumb. For thumb, alright, so for thumb, then you have lababya. Labab, alright, so labab meaning heart. Labab. That la in front is either saying to or of, then that ya at the end, right? Alright, labab meaning of my heart. Labab. So let's see. Labab meaning what? Labab meaning heart. Alright? And it's like that la in front is not saying it's like it's not saying of. Alright, so lababia meaning my heart, of my heart. Lababia, that ya, you see that? That ya. Then you have right here, you have your bakwayan. It's like a bakwayawan. So your bakwayawan, alright, bakwayawan, which literally means innocency. Alright, so wa bakwayan. It's like it. Nakwayawan. I keep saying ba. Nakwayawan. Alright. If you look up Nakwayawan, like, okay, this is called Blue Letter Bible too. Blue Letter Bible is also a very good website to use, very informational. You can figure a lot of things out. So you have Nakwa, right? Or Nakwa Yawan is root from Nakwa, meaning innocency, freedom from guilt, innocent, freedom from punishment, cleanness of teeth. Like these are different ways and different contexts that this word is being used in. So yeah, Nakwa Yawan, all right, Yawan, Nakwa Yawan, all right, Nakwa Yawan, meaning to be free, innocency, Nakwa Yawan, right, Nakwa Yawan, Nakwa Yawan, it's like Nakwa Yawan, Nakwa Yawan. So now when we go back, you have right here Waba Nakwa Yawan, Waba Nakwa Yawan, Nakwa Yawan. All right. Of course, it says Nakwayan. All right, but it would have said Nakwa Yawan is fully out. But in some cases, it depends when it's being used and how it's being used. All right, that wa meaning and, that ba meaning in, and Nakwayan. The root word is Nakwayao. It's like a Nakwayawan, but Nakwayan. All right, Nakwayan. So what ba Nakwayan? All right, Nakwayan, meaning and in innocency. Then you have Kap. Kapya, meaning my hand. Kap is a hand. It's like, let me try to get that up. It should say hands. Here we go. So you have the word kap. So you have your kap. This is you have your word kap. Right, you have your word kap, which is palm, hand, sole, palm of the hand, hollow or flat of the hand. It gives you all the different ones, hollow object. These are different ways the word kap can be being used. So now kap meaning hand, K-A-P, kap. So it says right here kapya, meaning my hand. That ya at the end of the word kap literally means my hand. It literally means my hand. So now, so far, what we have right here is hala'a, hawa'a, amo'alaya, akafya, hawa'a, wahaya'a, gam, hawa'a, amara, akya, hawa'a, pathum, lababya, waba nakwaya. It's like a waba nakwayan, nakwayan, waba nakwayan, kapya, right, meaning my hand. Then you have Aishaya, it's like Aishaya Thaya. Aishaya Thaya. So you have Aisha as a verb. Right? Aishaya. Aishaya Thaya. Right? That ya is there. Alright, for grammar. That's there for grammar. But you see that Thaya. I don't know if anyone, you see that Thaya right there? So Aisha is the verb. Aishaya Thaya. So you see that Thaya. Does anybody remember where that's from? Does anybody remember what Thaya is? And where that comes from? That Thaya. So that Thaya, you got to not know, that Thaya comes from the past tense, right? Meaning you did something, you've done something, you spoke something, or you said something, right? Like Thaya is letting you know that that verb is being put into the past tense. So that's a perfect example in the Bible of the past tense right here. This is the past tense for a verb. The verb is Aisha, meaning to do something, right? Aisha meaning to do. But it says, have I done? Because that thaya is letting you know that it's in the past tense. So now you have Aishaya thaya. That ya is there for grammar. So Aishaya thaya is letting you know that it's in the past tense. So you have, alright, then you have za'a, which is a definite article, letting you know of an object pronoun. So it's like a za'af. So you have za'af, which is this. Right? Af itself is a slackier particle, but this is za'af. Like za or za'af. You have this. Alright? So za'af meaning this. Alright? Za'af. And not just a H. Why? Because it's letting you know that it's being spoken in the feminine tense because it's something that the sister said. So we have hala'a, hawa'a, amoalaya, akafya, hawa'a, haya'a, agam, hawa'a, amara, akya, hawa'a, basam, labia, wabanakwayan, kapya, aishaya. So I got aishaya, thaya, za'a. So now literally what the Lord just said in the English, right? Did he not say to me, she is my sister? And she even said, he is my brother. With the innocence of my heart and with the purity of my hand have I done this. Like these are good examples. Alright, that is a perfect example of how the Hebrew is going to look like when you read it. So you want to try to practice as much as possible of how the Hebrew looks, because this is exactly what you're going to be reading. Alright. Now you guys, Hebrew's going to look like. Now you see these right here? These are letting you know that these are the verses. Your verses aren't written like how it is in the regular Bible, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What you're going to see is Abba, Gada, alright? But of course, they have numeric values to it. So this is Akkad, which is 1. Shanya, which is 2. Ga, which is Shalash, that's your 3. Arabai, which is your 4. Chamash, which is your 5. Shashai is your 6. Shabai is your 7. Your Chai is your 8. The Shai is your 9. And this is your Aishara. Your 10 is your Aishara. Then you have Aishara Akkad. You see how that right here is a 10 and then that's a 1. So you do 10 plus 1 gets you 11. So 10 plus 1 gets you 11. Then you get Akkad Aishara. Same thing. Right? Same thing. You have your Ya and your Ba. So Shanya Aishara. Then you have your Shalash Aishara. Then you have your Arabai Aishara. Then you have these weird two right here. You have your Tawa and then your Tazah. Right, this is a Ta and a Wa. This is your Ta and your Za. Alright, does anybody know what? I'm going to break that down. Let me see if I can break that down for y'all. Now, do you guys remember those numeric values? So I'm going to get on the board. So keep those in mind. So keep that ta and that y in mind, and keep that ta and that za in mind. Keep that ta and y in mind, and keep that ta and za in mind. And we're going to break down why this randomly changed. Your ta and your y. So you guys can see the board, right? So let's get it. So you have your ta. Right, you have your ta. So you have your ta. Alright? Your ta has a numeric value of 9. Alright, so let's go right here. Your ta has a numeric value of 9. Alright? But then you've seen a wa, which has a numeric value of 6. Then you had a za, which had a numeric value of 7. Alright? So now, to get to wa, right, you have to do 9 plus 6, right, because tawa equals something. Just like this, you do 9 plus 7 to get to za, right, a ta and a za, right. So, if you do 9 plus 6, that should be what? 15, right? And then if you do 9 plus 7, right? That should be 16. So now you have your 15 and then you have your 16. Alright? This is letting you know that this is verse 15 and 16. But then why did it suddenly change? Right? So why did it suddenly change? So when we go back, we're going to go back. Why did it suddenly change from yada to wa and to za? Well, here's why. Because I didn't want to put yaha and then yawa. Which would still be 16. So yawa and yaha would still be 16. But the reason why they didn't want to do that specifically because of the Most High's name being alright. That's the reason why they didn't want to do that. Alright. Because that ya and the ha, alright, that ya and that yawa, too close to the Most High's name, so to not stir up any confusion, alright, so like it, let me go back. So what you see on the board, to not stirring up any confusion, you see that ya and that ha, right, and then you see that ya and that wa. It still equals 16. But the reason why the ta and the wa is there, and that ta and that za is there, alright, because it didn't want to put the yawa, and I didn't want to put the yaha. Something like it. I have 16 for both. Alright. So that's why you have, so when you look at the screen, right? Let's go back to the Google. So let's go back to the online. So when you see this right here, it goes yada. Yada would be 14. But it changes up here and it says a tawa. And then it says a ta and a za. Now these have numeric values to it. Just like how a ya is a 10 and a da is a 4. So if you do 10 plus 4, that's 14. Well, a ta is a 9 and a wa is a 6. So if you do 9 plus 6, you get 15. Then you get a ta right here, which is 9, and a za, which is 6. So if you do 9 plus, a za, which is 7, if you do 9 plus 7, right, you get 16. But so why did it switch? Why did it go from ya to using ta? Well, let's go back. If you go right, let's go back to it when it's on. So now when you look at it, they didn't want to use the Yaha or the Yahweh because it's too close to the Most High's name, Yahweh. Everybody understand that? Even though Yah and a Ha would be 15, and the Yah and a Y would be 16. Alright? I wanted to go over that last week's class, but I wanted to make sure everybody understood that these letters have numeric values to it. Alright, these letters have numeric values to it. Alright, does anybody have any questions? Alright, no questions? No sweat, no sweat. Alright. Alright, let's go back to the thing real quick. I want to briefly go over something as well. So now, after that tawa, it goes right back. Right, you see how that's a yaza? You see how there's a za right there? Because 10 plus a ya is a 10. That za is a 7, which is 17. That ya is a 10, that cha is an 8, that's 18. Alright? So if you go over here, you see how those verses match? See, it's not going to look like, in the regular English, it's going to look like this. 1, 2, 3. But in Hebrew, it's going to look like, it's like an ga. But you still use, but you still say the numbers. Alright, you still say the numbers. Alright? You still say the numbers. We go to the next chapter. I think the next chapter should have a little bit more than 18, at least if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right, okay. So let's leave off at 18. I want to show you guys something. So you have your yaka, you have your yata. This is your ya right here, which is 10, and your ta is a 9. Put together, that's 19. Right, which is the Shai Aishara. Then you have your Ka, which is Asherayim. Right here, you see that Ka? That Ka is Asherayim. Then you have your Ka and your A. That's letting you know that's Akkad Asherayim, which is 21. Then you have Shanya Asherayim, which is 22. Then you have Shalash Asherayim, which is 23. Then you have Arabai Asherim, which is 24. Then you have Hamash Asherim, which is 25. Then you have Shashat Isharim, which is 26. And you have Shabai Isharim, which is 27. Shamawana Isharim, which is 28. The Shai Asherayim, like it. The Shai Asherayim, which is 29. Then you have 30, which is Shalashim, which is Yalah. Go sit down for the Lord. No. Alright, so that's exactly what it looks like. Alright, this is what I was trying to break down. Well, that's what I broke down in class the other day, but this is an actual visual of that. Alright, that's an actual visual. Okay. All right. So with that, Israel. So this is that's the breakdown of this right here. All right. So with that, Israel, I say Amadu, which means to stand. We're gonna men of Israel. We're gonna give a curse salute to the brothers. Men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadu, Barak, Yahweh Ba'Shim Yahushua Bakatah. Yadim Batah, Saul Akwaki, men of Israel. We're going to give a curse salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Madam Shabbat, Imadu, Barak, Yahweh Shamar Adathun, Ba'Shim Yahushua, Yadim Batah. With that, class dismissed.